Hello children, today we are going to discuss a very interesting and important topic of physics, which is fun with magnets. Now here in this beautiful picture you see a shepherd and you see a special, you can observe that the iron portion of the stick experiences something with these stones which are lying on the ground. Now this shepherd is responsible for the name behind magnet. We'll be discussing how the shepherd story is related with the name magnet in the coming slides. Now we begin with the funny portion of magnets. That is, since our childhood days, we are using magnets in day-to-day life. The first example that I am going to show you is that of a sticker that we stick on almirahs and door of the fridge. Now in this picture you can see that the numerals, they are sticking on the fridge. Now there is something known as magnet which is at the back of these stickers. This black colored thing, we call it as magnet. Okay, generally the color is black. If we paint it with some other color, then it's a different matter. Otherwise we observe magnets generally to be in black color. Okay, and we must have used these kind of magnetic stickers on almirahs and fridge. Another interesting use of magnets that we must have observed is that of a pen holder, wherein lot many pens, they are kept inside this transparent glass, and you have something known as magnetic stand in between. Okay, this magnetic stand has some amount of magnetism with it, and because of the magnetism that this stand has, we are able to pick up the pins because they get stuck onto its surface. Okay, one more use of magnets that we must have seen is in the flaps of handbags that generally our mothers carry. So when you snap it, there is a clicking sound. Also we have observed magnetic flaps which are kept in the closing mechanism of diary, which is shown in the figure also. Another thing that you must have observed by now is that when you close the door of a fridge, then there is some kind of a clicking sound, and they get airtight closed only because there is a magnet which is hidden behind the plastic sheet, and that magnet gets attracted towards the metallic portion of the other end of the fridge, and you generally observe a clicking sound also during the closure. Okay, so magnets have been a very integral part of our life. Now we will see other cases where magnets are also used. Magnets are also used in the closing mechanism of cupboard and almirah. Okay. Now magnets also have very large industrial application. Here in this beautiful picture you can see that a person is operating a crane, and this crane has one particular arm, and this particular arm, if you see, you can see here that certain kind of metallic objects are getting stuck to it. Now the reason behind the sticking of those metallic objects with this arm is that by means of certain mechanism, this portion becomes magnet. Okay. Now the reason for this portion to become magnet is that when current passes through certain coils, it becomes an electromagnet, which we will discuss in the coming slides. And the moment you switch on the current, this electromagnet pulls up or attracts the metallic pieces out of the garbage. Okay, so you have a garbage, pile of garbage here, and the moment the magnet is switched on, the important or the relevant metallic pieces can be pulled up using this mechanism. We call this machine as magnetic segregator. Okay, so this is one of the very beautiful application of magnet. Another application of magnet is in segregation of iron containing ores from the dump. Okay, this you will be studying much in detail when you go through the chapter of metallurgy. So this portion, if you see, the iron containing ore is being pulled up or getting attracted to this large magnet. Okay, this magnet is some kind of electromagnet. One of the most ancient purpose of using the property of magnet is to use them for navigation or to find direction. Okay, there is a specific property of every magnet by virtue of which we can utilize magnetic compass for navigation or finding the direction. We will be discussing about this magnetic compass in the coming slides. Now magnets also find their application in conversion of sound energy into electrical energy. A very good example is that of a phone receiver, wherein the speaker when says anything, that sound energy is picked up by some kind of receiver which is made of electromagnetic circuit. You have electromagnetic circuit which is not visible generally, which is kept inside. That electromagnetic circuit converts sound energy into electrical energy or electrical impulses, which is used in communication of sound from one place to another place. So magnets are also widely used in designing mobile devices as well as phone receivers. Another application of magnet is that of when the magnets are used. Here you see two poles of magnet, north and south, and you have the coil of electric motor which is kept in between. The design of electric motor is such that when you turn the coil, if you wish to rotate the coil between the magnetic poles, you just need to supply a little bit of current. When current flows through these coils and there is a presence of magnetism around the coil, it starts rotating on its own. This is how electric motor is designed. So magnets also find their application in designing of industrial electric motor. Now, after having discussed so many applications and uses of magnets, let us discuss what exactly magnetism or magnets are. Now, magnetism is a term which is used for a natural phenomena which are exhibited by certain substances known as magnets. Now, what are these two natural phenomena? First is that it attracts certain other substances towards itself. Here in this picture you can see this magnet is pulling the nails. It is attracting the nails. Now this property or this phenomena of attraction of the magnet for other substances is magnetism. Now, what is the second natural phenomena of magnetism? It is that if the magnet is suspended in such a way that it can rotate freely, okay, then it aligns itself in one particular direction, and this direction is generally north south. Okay, so if a magnet is allowed to rotate freely in a horizontal plane or in a flat plane, then it will always align itself or orient itself in one particular direction, which is north south. Okay, so these two phenomena of magnet or magnetic substances is known as magnetism. Now comes the term magnet. Now, magnet is any substance that possesses magnetic properties, and the two magnetic properties that we just discussed are that it should have attraction towards certain other magnetic substances, and it has got a directional property. Now, these two properties will be discussed in detail in the coming slides. Now, the first property of a magnet is that it attracts. It attracts objects made of iron and nickel or their alloys. That alloys means mixture of iron and nickel. Okay, so it has a property of attracting. Now here in this diagram you can see if powder of iron, okay, let's say you make powder of iron and you place this magnet in that heap of iron powder, which we call it as iron dust or iron fillings. Okay, now when you keep this magnet in that heap of iron dust or filling, then you will find that the most of the iron fillings are getting attracted, getting lumped up on the two extreme sides of the magnet. Now these two extreme sides are known as the poles of the magnet, which we will be discussing in the coming slides. Now the point to understand here is that iron is a kind of a magnetic substance which gets attracted towards other magnetic substances or magnets. So this attraction is attributed to magnet. Here also in this diagram you can see that the nails of iron made from iron, they are attracted, they get stuck towards the poles of the magnet. The person is holding a magnet. Okay, so this is how attractive property is described. Now we will discuss about magnetic materials. Any substance like iron, nickel, cobalt and alloy or mixture containing these metals, they are strongly attracted to magnets, and such type of substances which get attracted towards magnets, they are called magnetic materials. Okay, or we call that iron is magnetic in nature, or iron is a magnetic material. Similarly, the same statement holds true for nickel, cobalt, mixture of these metals as well as alloys of these metals. Okay, at the same time we have certain substances which do not get attracted towards the magnet, like wood and plastic. Okay, so if you have a dust of wood, or if you bring this wood in close proximity of a magnet, then there will be no effect between the magnet and the wood. Similarly, this same statement holds good for plastic. So any substance which do not get attracted towards the magnets, they are known as non-magnetic materials. Okay. Now let us come to the next very important property of magnet, which is that it has got directional property. Now what do we mean by directional property? It states that if a magnet is suspended freely, okay, that means it can turn around. It is suspended in such a fashion that it can turn around in any direction. Then the magnet will always orient itself only in one particular geographical direction. Okay. Now here in this diagram you can see that this magnet, okay, is free to rotate in the horizontal plane. Okay, it is suspended vertically. Okay, the term is that it should be suspended vertically, and it is free to rotate in horizontal plane. Okay. Now when this magnet is suspended freely, it will orient itself in one particular direction, and which is geographical north-south. Now this end of the magnet, this particular end of the magnet which is pointing towards the geographic north, is known as North Pole, because this end seeks north. Okay. Similarly, the other end, the other opposite end, is pointing towards the geographic south, so we call it as South Pole. Okay. Now comes the interesting story how magnetism or magnets were discovered. Now in general there are two theories or two stories that go with the term magnet. Okay. Now this natural phenomena of magnetism is not something which is very new. Greek people, they already knew about the property of magnetism right from 6th century BC. Okay. And the first person to observe the property of magnetism was Thales, who was a Greek philosopher. Okay. And the term magnet, it is believed that the term magnet is named after a place, Magnesia. Now what is Magnesia? Magnesia is a place where large magnetic deposits of certain substance, that is magnetites, are found. What are magnetites? That we will discuss afterwards. Now Magnesia is a place which is a district in Asia Minor, and the term magnet is derived from that place, Magnesia. Okay. So this is one theory about the naming of magnet. The other story about the term magnet goes by the name of a shepherd, Magnus, who was from ancient some place in the Greece. Now he used to take his flock of sheep and goats for grazing daily. Now there was a stick with him, okay, which we call it as stick or staff. Now the other end of the stick, okay, the other end of the stick had a iron tip. Now one day he observed that the iron tip of his stick or staff was being pulled very hard towards certain rocks and stone. Now he realized that some special phenomena which is associated with the material in the rock is responsible for this special attraction between the iron tip and the stones, because this stone was not pulling the wooden portion of the staff. Okay, now the Magnus thought that there is something natural about such kind of stones. Okay, and those stones were called magnets in the honor of the shepherd. Okay, later, much later, those magnetic substances and rocks were named magnetite, which is an ore of iron. Okay, this is how the two stories about the naming of magnet goes. Now, this is how, here you see a picture of a lodestone or a magnetic substance, magnetite, which here you see the staples. You see these pins of the stapler. Okay, they are attracted toward the stone. Now, this metallic ore of iron is also known as lodestone, and this lodestone had the property of drawing particles of iron towards it. Now, these materials were also known as lodestone because lode means it gives you certain direction. If you suspend this lodestone freely, it will orient itself in one particular direction. So, lodestone means leading stone, which is associated with the directional property of magnet. These naturally occurring black stones or lodestones are called natural magnets. Natural magnets, they look something like this. Okay. Now, other than natural magnets, we also have artificial magnets. Earlier, it was believed that magnets can only occur in nature. But with the advancement of science, we came to know that we can create artificial magnets, and the process by which we make artificial magnets is that we use current and magnetic substances. Now here you see this particular piece in red and blue is some iron or some other magnetic substance. Okay, it's a magnetic substance, but it is not a magnet. When you pass current through it, that means here you see, if current pass through it in the form of loops, okay, so what happens, this iron or this magnetic substance becomes a magnet, or we call it that this material has been magnetized. Now these closed loops which are shown, they are basically showing invisible effect of magnetism. Okay, we call them as magnetic field, but remember that they are invisible, they are not seen by naked eye. We call them as magnetic field, but they are invisible. Okay, now magnets can be of any size and shape. Here we see four examples. First is bar magnet. So bar magnets is something like this, which is rectangular in shape. Okay, the one portion being shown in red and the other portion being shown in blue. It just shows that this portion is of different polarity from this. This may be north, this may be south. Okay. Now the magnets can be cylindrical in shape also. Okay, one end is north, another end is south. Now you see another type, which is ball type magnets. Okay, and very important and commonly used is horseshoe magnet. Okay, so this one end is north, the other end is south pole. Okay, the only point is that the material in between is bent in the form of a U. Okay, and the name is very common because it is of the shape of a horseshoe. Okay, so that is why the name is horseshoe magnet. Now let us do certain exercises so that the concepts or the points learnt about magnets and magnetism, they become clear. Now the first exercise is that the black metallic ore that has the property of attracting pieces of iron, they are called magnetite. Okay, the question asks us for black metallic ore. Okay, the other probable answer for this can be lodestone, but you should prefer to write magnetite. Okay, now let us look at the second exercise. The natural force of attracting pieces of iron is called magnetism. Okay, now let us look at the third problem. The word magnet was believed to have been derived from the name of a shepherd. We just learned about a story, and the name of the shepherd who found those rocks was Magnus. Okay, lodestone was later called magnetite. Okay, for its magnetic property. Dash was a Greek philosopher who first discovered the magnetic property of lodestone. The name was Thales. Okay.